the meeting. Thank you. Let's start with a couple of good things. What's happening? Anyone has gotten a listing appointment, got the listing, closed the transaction that was challenging and learn out of it? Go ahead, unmute yourself and share. Something good.
Hi, Harma. It's Leslie Williams. I have my very first listing.
Congrats.
It's going to be ready to go on Wednesday. And so because we can do open houses now, I have opens on Saturday and Sunday, which I'm really very excited about.
Congrats. That's an, yes, open houses, just the fact that they're back, it says a lot about our next journey. But you guys remember when they said you cannot do open houses, stay home, don't talk to anyone, and look, we're going in a different direction. What I want to acknowledge for those of you that adjusted your career last 12 months and you're adapted something new, the communication between people have changed, right? If you look, we did not think we can communicate with anyone via Zoom. And how many meetings is okay now? It's not like only you're comfortable with the consumers are comfortable with a Zoom meeting. Last week, me and Wesley had a buyer's consulting on Zoom, and Wesley had shown our client over like 9 properties, and today's Monday. So how fast? Just remember, communication is changing. I do think we will have a change again in our communication next 9 months. There will be some other sort of acceptance when it comes to communication. The question is, if sooner you adapt to it, you'll be ahead of the game. Who else? Who else have something nice to share?
I did
Anyone
my
is
first.
pregnant?
Oh.
Hey, Jenna.
Hi.
Now go ahead.
I did my first lease closing this weekend, so not quite a listing yet, but my first lease. And I have a listing appointment today as well.
Good job. Good job. I love the appointments. I like the closings. Who else was it?
It was me, Marilyn Ionessi.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. So I have 2 listings coming up.
Congratulations. I like that.
Thank you.
We have just to let you know, our office takes around 120 listings a month, and Veronica and Dan and I were speaking in our monthly meetings that we want to hit that to 150 going forward. So love hearing that you guys have multiple listings coming up. Who else? We'll take one more.
Hi, Harma. Tracy here. I just wanted to, hi. I just wanted to say I have 2 closings this week and had 1 last week. So feeling very grateful for that.
Congratulations. Love that.
Thanks.
And what a small word, right? That you have a transaction and happen
That's
the
right.
buyer knows us.
Absolutely. It was funny.
So we're going to talk about today 2 things, 2 categories, and then I'm going to actually open it up for questions. One is we're going to talk about communications that some salespeople have. We call it KISS versus KILL. And KISS stands for keeping it short and simple. And KILL is keeping it long and lengthy. And how do you work through either one? Which one are you? How do you want to develop the skill set for the other one that you can actually perform better? So let me ask you something. Do you feel if you have a communication with anyone in sales, you're showing properties, you're on a listing appointment, is it more productive when it's short, or is it more productive when it's very long? Would you say short?
I would say short.
Short.
For sure, short.
And if they don't ask you a question or not interested in your opinion, and you still continue your communication in length, what kind of effect do you think that will have in your sale?
Not good.
Do you follow me? Do you follow me that? But today's conversation I'm going to have, I want to make sure that you are prepared for your sell. And what we notice, a lot of agents will sell the buyer on the transaction and then walk them out of the transaction just because they talk a lot, and they kill the deal sometimes. I call them to kill the deal. Not they kill K-I-L-L. I'm talking about literally damaging the deal. So I have like 7 points that I want to go over. Number one, be efficient with speaking, meaning prepare to what you're going to speak about and try to eliminate words like, guess, well, let me think. Those words make the person on the other side feel like you're not prepared, you're looking for words, but if you try to keep it short, you will eliminate those words or sentences between because you want to keep it short. Number two is use pauses instead of fillers. This is what this sales technique is from a university. They studied how communications are more clear, which ultimately leads to more sales. So instead of you filling with the comments, it's like, well, actually, it's funny. I'll have that too. Let me tell you. It's like, instead of that, you may want to pause and just say, sure, let me share a story. So pausing has been more effective versus trying to come up with side sentences to fill the conversation. Number three, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but have you met someone that you tried to have a conversation, anything you said, they're like, oh yeah, that happened to me, and then next thing you didn't even finish the sentence. They have taken the conversation, talked about themselves, and gone somewhere that was not the topic. So now remember, you are dealing with clients. The clients come first. So making people feel special and heard is about how you make them feel, which is by your listening skill set and your communication. And that's what I want to do. Talk about the communication. How do we make the person, this is an art. And number three is actually, me and my husband this morning, we're talking about who do we know that is a skill on this. And it was one of our friend, I guess I can say that name, you don't know him. His name is Rob. Number three is a conversation threading. How do you take the conversation from the person and continue it? It's a skill set that you only can have when you do it, when you're aware of it. You can't just say, I was born with it, or I just do it organically. You have to actually make an effort. And I'm going to give you an example. If someone has a conversation and just says, you know, the summer is coming up and I'm very excited. I like hunting and I'm going to go hunt Northern California. So you can take a conversation, Northern California, hunting, and summer is coming up. Those are the three things I took from that conversation. If you don't like hunting and you got to take the conversation and say, I don't like hunting, I'm against hunting, and that's a client, you just went the conversation somewhere you don't need to. So that's a negative conversation. Summer, you don't like summer, it's hot, your kids are off to school, me three, I don't know what I'm going to do, but you don't want to talk about that. And maybe Northern California, maybe you were, you went to San Francisco school. You can bring that up and have a threading conversation about something positive from that point on. So it's basically a skill set that you identify when the person comes up with a conversation, acknowledge that sentence and continue back, which means they feel they're heard. Number four, use a statement instead of questions. So a lot of us by the way, I used to say, go back with a question. It's cold and it's insensitive to just questions after question. But if you make a statement that leads for the party across from you to continue the conversation, is another way that they were identified as an art in conversation. So for example, when someone says, I want to move to suburb, I don't like living in a city, and just say, why you don't like the city? And instead of saying, it's interesting you say that, I hear that more these days. And then let them continue. So you're not questioning what they're saying, but you're adding that I heard you, continue. And number 4 or number 5, they notice that when there's a humor and light conversation is more impactful. Number 6, storytelling to connect and going back with the statement to them has been very powerful. And number 7 is the deep conversation. It's always have a bigger impact on people to remember you and feel they're connected and have a bigger rapport than actually having small, shallow conversation. So you can have a deep conversation very short. I moved from San Francisco as well, or I went to school there. How do you like your school? What do you study? And go on, versus just say, oh yeah, I don't like suburbs. So good luck with your move, or me neither. I don't like the city, acknowledging and just moving the conversation, because then there's no threat in conversation. So I just wanted to talk about that 7 things. So for those of you that you're like, well, I can't do all that, it's so hard, that's not how I communicate. I'm not asking you to switch overnight to have a better communication, but out of those 7 things, pick one and consciously make an effort when you meet people, because you're in sales and I want you to make eye contact, make the person feel heard, and go back, and especially if you're doing needs and analysis, the only people that they feel you're a good agent is when they know that you know what their needs are. So needs and analysis is going to be very important. And before I move to the next thing, which is I want to talk about some bank-owned properties and foreclosures and what that market will look like, that I think will look like what you should know. Before we go there, anyone has questions or comments about communication?
Yes, Harma, I do.
Hi, Kiana.
Hi, just because I was driving, I just missed the first 2. If you could just repeat those really quickly.
Number 3 is conversation threading. Number 4, use statement instead of question.
No, I'm sorry,
Number
not 3 and 4, just 1 and 2. I missed 1 and 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Be efficient with speaking, meaning less of things like that. Number 2 is use pause instead of fillers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
I have a comment.
Sure.
Just in general, what do you say about like feeling your like client out? Because some people do like to talk, and like in general, I just try to go off the vibe of the person.
Let them talk. Yeah, if they do like to talk, let them talk. This is the way of communicate with them. Let them feel special. So there are clients that they love to talk, but remember, if my time is extremely limited. So if I have a client that wants to talk, I want them to feel so special, and yet I want to know to the bottom line because I want to move on. So I'm not going to be dismissive, but I'm going to set the tone with them. And if I don't know if any of you have ever had an appointment with me, my staff will tell you, Harma has appointment from this time to this time. Would you be available to speak at this? So it's this standard it's set that this is where I'm available. Now, there's an agent needed me on Friday unexpectedly. I was with her an hour and a half, and she needed me. I'm available for anything like that. But if we're going to have a chit chat conversation, or a client that wants to just talk about their other stuff, we have one with Wesley Rana in escrow. She loves to find, what if everything goes wrong? I'm going to make her feel so special. When everything goes wrong, I have an amazing support. I just had to cut it. I will say, I'm sorry, I would love to call you, but I know you're having dinner at 7:00. So I'm also going to have a dinner at 7:30. So I just put a gap. I'm sorry. We'll talk about it tomorrow if it's urgent.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I don't think that you should be dismissive, but the whole, this part that we talked about, it's again, I remind, it says KISS, keeping it short and simple, KILL, keeping it long and lengthy. It depends on how you're talking conversation, but as you know, keeping it short, it's more impactful and productive.
Okay, sounds good.
Anyone else?
Yes, Harma, sorry, I need to turn my camera back on. I do have one more question about that. Like, how should you approach that? Because sometimes there are clients who just want to talk and talk and talk, and you do want to connect with them. But I mean, would a good strategy be to maybe call and say, you know, I have another appointment in 5 minutes, but I just wanted to get back to you?
Absolutely. Just set the tone. When you pick up the phone and just say, oh my God, I was so excited to hear your voicemail. It was that whatever they say, like just say you want to talk about the inspection. It's so exciting. The good thing is we have a bunch of inspectors also, but I want to call you because before my next appointment, which is in 12 minutes, just to connect with you before I go in. But don't worry, by end of today, I will give you the 3 people you can call and communicate. How are you doing? How's your day going? The thing is also, it's your job to keep the conversation off of the same topic that is not productive to repeat it. Move it, called threading conversation, move it to something else more productive. I remember when I was a team leader many years ago, and I came from another office that it was okay to go to talk to the team leader about things that is not working out with the office, with yourself, with your family constantly. So the team leader, the previous team leader felt the value is when you listen to all the negative things of any human and make them feel loved. And so I was like, oh my God, that's great. You know, you just go to free therapy and my door is open. Everyone come and tell me everything is not working out. Then I realized, oh my God, I was so depressed. I was going home negative. I was eating in and out at 11 p.m., 2 of them. It's just like, it was horrible. And so my coach said, how about you come up with a rule of right in the middle? I said, right in the middle in what? Said that anyone who comes to your office to talk about anything that is not constructive or productive, you tell them that I would like to talk about the same amount of minutes in positive format. And I start telling people, now you're a client, you can't tell them, hey, don't tell me anything negative if you want to tell me something positive. But you consciously make an effort to move the conversation to positive note. So what I was trying to teach you earlier, that when someone says 3 sentences back to back, pick the one that can be a threading conversation to something positive. That's your choice. Of course, that's not their choice, but that's your choice. And by the way, this is not easy, but it will be easier when you do it more often.
Thank you for that.
Of course. Anyone else? Ready to talk about some REOs? Anyone wants to? I mean, I don't have to do REOs and foreclosures. Anyone? I mean, if for those of you who have cameras on, or you can unmute yourself, just tell me yes or no so I can see the group.
Hi, Harma. This is Charlene Mariano.
Hi, Charlene.
I have a client who just told me over this past weekend, I know Memorial Day is coming up, but they just want to step back. We've been putting in offers. They had another agent they were working with and they changed over with me. I said, try a new agent. Let's see what goes on. They are completely burned out. They've put in like 12 offers with that agent, 2 with me, and they're not getting anywhere. I even showed them houses that are kind of, they need a little bit of fixing up. This is in Irvine. To show them like, a house is long-term, this is a fixer-upper, it's not as much interest. What do you do with buyers that just are now frustrated and just kind of giving up? I want to give them their space, but I don't want to lose them.
So there is nothing called too aggressive to follow up. So don't come up with your own mindset, what's too much. Do you see what I'm saying? So if it's once a week is not too much for someone who was writing an offer, I'll tell you that. But that's one. Number 2 is that method of the communication, go back to look at them. Did they text you back more, call you back more, or email you? If it was all 3, once a week, either or, I will continue. If it's been one way more often, I will do 2 of 1, skip 1, do email 2 of 1. So whatever it's called, I call it the love language of the buyer or seller. So copy that. And one of the things you should do once a month to address how the market is in a separate note on an R and handwritten cards, reminding them that there's an emotion, you care, you love, with a handwritten card. So you hit all in a different manners and you keep them going, because ultimately they would like someone who cares. That's the number one reason they will come back to you. Otherwise, they just go work with the listing agent because they gave up, right? But they know representation. So one of the things I will say, find buyer's guide or why they need their own representation versus dual agency, and why they should work with you, because you will watch their whatever the reason that you're going to care for them, versus a listing agent whose fiduciary duty is the seller. That doesn't mean the listing agents are not good and they're not going to do a good job, but I'm saying you want to show your value. But I want to share something else. I remember I showed maybe around like, sorry. So I was showing a property to a buyer, and we wrote multiple offers. And at one point, I had like 11 offers written on 11 different properties, and were not accepted. And this was 2006, 2005, 2006. And I was watching a panel. I was with Mike Ferry, and an agent in, I believe in North Carolina or South Carolina, somewhere there, said that he wrote 54 offers. I think like 38 different properties, 38 offers, and something like big numbers. And I was like, well, I wrote 11. And he looked at me and said, well, you have 44 more to go. And I was like, oh my God. So put the perspective that now market shifted. Obviously, you didn't have to put that much. So depends how you look at this, right? You wrote that much. Is it burnout, or you keep doing it until you find the right property that they will stay? And there is no clear answer until the market. The reason I want to talk about REOs actually, because I do think market is going to change. I do believe there are a lot of people have not, actually, there are a lot of people chose not to pay their mortgage, versus they couldn't. I think we have that a lot in this market. But don't give up. Don't give up, because those are the gold in, I will say September and October is going to be when you actually going to win a lot. So I'm assuming go ahead, Charlotte.
Thank you. Oh, Sing, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Do you guys want to talk about some tricks and some of the do's and don'ts of REOs?
Yes.
A year ago, I asked my asset managers, they have REO. They're like, oh no, I just laid off 2 of my asset managers. 1 pre-marketing was laid off. A week ago, they're all like, Harma, we need your errors and omission insurance. Harma, are you, we might have some in few months. And there is a talk about it. There's once this government lifts the rules about foreclosure, which will happen, we will have some changes. As a matter of fact, on Friday alone, I have received 1 active REOs and few more BPOs that they were much closer to us. BPOs are broker price opinion. If you don't know what it is, write this down. Broker price opinion. Read that. It's so simple. Go YouTube it. It's extremely easy. Just learn what is that so you can understand. BPOs are basically, in order for banks to foreclose, they ask a broker to give an opinion, and then they decide if there's enough equity on the property. So they've been increasing. But I have received an REO in LA, very close to us, and beautiful home, and the asset manager is local. Usually they're not, because there are not too many of them, but they're becoming local. And the things that you guys need to know that it's important, when you have a foreclosure that is in a market, don't treat it so different in a sense of, how do I submit an offer? It's going to be different. It's the same way that you write an offer. The purchase contract is the same, except once it's accepted, you're going to have an addendum or a new contract. In California, 99% is a new addendum that it basically spells out everything you need to know about how the seller will perform. One of the things that you need to know they have the right to cancel on you if they chose to do. So if you know the purchase contract in California, once the buyer has a signed executed purchase contract signed by the seller, in California, seller cannot cancel unless buyer chose to cancel. Do you know that? Shake your hand if you do. Say yes. Good. You all know that. But addendum to the REO, can seller cancel? Just remember that. So don't get your hopes up. I got this under contract. No, you actually, if you don't perform or title is not clear and they cannot get it clear, the previous seller filed bankruptcy, they can actually cancel on you, which we had that recently on with Wells Fargo. That the buyer performed, everything's ready and that's not clear, they cancels. Buyer says, I'll put the deposit in escrow. It's like, you don't have that choice. You have to take your deposit. So remember that. Number two, on a bank-owned property, please don't do DocuSign and do wet signature. What we noticed that the banks will say after it's wet signature, I need wet signature, they reject it. The property becomes active again. By the time you get the sign, another buyer will come and bid you. So just try to initially, if you're writing an offer on REOs, just get a wet signature. You do have the right to ask for 9A home warranty, but if you do ask for termite, I want 21 days in inspection period, I want on and on and on, all those items that it's not even customary based on a regular purchase contract, it is unlikely the listing agent will like you, and I can guarantee you that the banks will not like your agreement. So don't. So what you should do, most of the banks will give you a shorter period of time on inspection. So you may as well ask for much shorter. So 10 days, I will think is fair. I think we have a question here. Yes. Thank you, Harry. I did. Deposit to be 3%. Close up escrow, unless you are cash, don't try to be shorter than 30 days. Let them counter if they want to, because banks usually don't even like 30 days less if you're financed, because it takes them a few weeks for them to get you the prelim. I mean, we just talked about Lawyers Title, who's really good at what they do, and they're behind just because the amount of volume. In foreclosure world, it takes multiple people to review the title to issue. So it's not on you if they're delayed. However, they will really question you if you're not performing on your end. But just remember, there will be a period. It's not going to be like, oh, where's my title insurance? I'm not, just be patient, because sometimes even to get you the executed purchase contract after acceptance, it will take days. I had one incident was a few weeks, but that doesn't happen. But just know when they executed purchase contract by the asset manager to come back, which they send it to investor to sign off, it takes a few days. And unless you find something legit, don't ask for credit. They don't like it. They won't do it. I can't say on behalf of every bank, some banks will do, some banks won't, but everything that you see that you question, they most probably send it through pictures from the agent, the field services, which they send out, as well as the appraiser. So unless you have a gas that is blown up or the foundation is falling apart and no one had seen because you had a geological report, it is unlikely they will entertain your credits just because it's a bank. There will be no disclosures. That doesn't mean our office will not require you to sign one. So buyer has to sign, but there will be nothing from the bank, meaning they're not going to say, yes, I know my sprinklers on the left side is not working. I know the roof was repaired 6 months ago. There's nothing like that. It will be actually crossed and will be like, that's it. We're selling it as is. However, we as an office, our policy is to have your buyer sign, acknowledge that we did our part. There was a period that they were making the water and power and the gas were not on. when they were doing inspections, but now they require the listing agents to turn it on under their name. So we can't promise that every listing agent is going to be fantastic. So what I will suggest, the day offer is accepted, confirm with a team of the REO team and say, our inspection at this day, I just want to confirm, does the water, do you have the water and power and the gas on? Because you don't want to schedule, go there and it's not on. And another thing, that 9A report or certificate of compliance, you cannot waive it. Just because it's a bank. If bank says, I'm not doing it, your buyer has to do it. So you cannot close it if it's in city of LA. There's a lot more in REOs, but I want to make sure that you know the basics so you don't get intimidated. It is not scary. It's an awesome way to perform, have a great transactions. But usually remember, people that they're not paying for their mortgage are people that have not had money for a while. Do you agree with that? No one says, I'm not going to pay for my mortgage first, but I'm going to continue paying for my boat or my rental. They literally, they own if it's a rental property that also they haven't paid, so the person is out of there and they have not cared for the property. What I'm trying to say, so when you get to you and do inspection, don't assume the property will be in a great condition. Assume that they have not taken care of many things for many months. So don't be surprised if the sewer line is not working well. That's why foreclosures are. It is likely it's a condo, you don't have any of these issues, but a single family home on a hillside, expect things. And that's why it sometimes is cheap. So your job is to educate your buyers that if they're so excited, they're like, oh my God, this is priced so well. It's just like, just know there are consequences on foreclosure, so be prepared.
You see an uptick on these foreclosures, Harma? Is that why?
Say that again, Steve?
I said, you see an uptick in the number of foreclosures and REOs happening.
Yes, I think we're completely in a bubble right now. It will be a change. It won't be, I don't think our current government will allow the foreclosures to rise so fast. It will be a bundle. It will be a process. It will be some help. But ultimately, there are people that they are not able to pay their mortgage anymore, and there will be an adjustment. If you look at notice of defaults, have increased a lot. For those of you know that we came up with a new company called harmadata.com that you can sign up, and one of the products is NODs, notice of defaults. That is not available because we were overwhelmed with how many people sign up for NODs. Hopefully in a few months we will have that open again. But we will have that open again. But until we have that product open, just we've been noticing an amount of notes of default, the quantities that compared to the same month a year before has changed. So more people are not paying. The challenge is they cannot foreclose on them for a while until we get there.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thanks.
Of course.
What do you think about their equity positions now versus, the last time we went around? I mean, the reality is I think pretty much 98% of them have equity. So these aren't going to be necessarily distressed sales. They're just going to be more or less standard sales. Mm-hmm. And we have a lack of inventory right now anyway. So maybe just inventory becomes what,
I think so. It will be normal, but it will be a lot of reductions, because what will happen, they will say, well, I want this much. I don't know if you guys ever gone to a listing appointment and seller says, I want this much. And I'm like, well, I tried to date Brad Pitt. It didn't work out. That's just not going to happen. So it's not about how much the seller wants. It's about how much the buyer is willing to pay. And if there is multiple units for sale in the condominium, guess what? The last sold in the building sets the price. And then if it's multiple for sale, whoever is the cheapest, the price per square footage, whoever is in a better condition, whoever is better corner unit. If it's a single family, if it's on all same street, they're going to be be pricing based on the last sold. And if there's 6 more for sale, right now there's 1 for sale, so they pay a little bit more. If it's 6 for sale, they start paying less. So it's not about just the foreclosures. It's going to be the inventory has to adjust. And I think the moment the tenants are obligated to pay, whether they pay or not, those people that they were waiting to sell their investment properties will go in the market first. This is the moment. Ask questions, learn about, I want our office to win out there representing buyers and getting foreclosures. And I don't think you're gonna have, as Mark mentioned, short sales as much, but it's important to learn what that is, because if they did refinance right now and they get their second loan out and market adjust just 5 to 10%, that will be a short sale. It might not be a big short sale like we used to have, $200,000-$300,000. That will be a short sale. But so for those of you that know clients that they are refinancing and they're taking money out and then going to remodel their kitchen and doing a major remodel, you may want to keep in touch with them. Any questions? Ask me about REOs.
Harma, hey, it's Rachel Miller. Sorry, my cat's distracting me, so I might have missed if you answered this already. When are you thinking that we are kind of going to see that boom in like short sales, foreclosures, kind of towards the end of the year, like more like fourth quarter kind of range? Because I know a couple people that are waiting
after
like pounce
after
on those.
fourth quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, after fourth quarter, you see, and the media most probably will talk about it the first, second quarter of next year.
Okay.
Because they're always 6 months.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Harma, may I ask a question? I'm sorry, maybe you did cover this, but let's say I have a buyer interested in an REO. Where do I start from? Plain and simple.
Great question. There is no way you can buy a foreclosure directly from the bank. Majority, I'm saying, when everything I say, by the way, I'm talking about general, okay? But you cannot purchase it from the bank unless it has been properly foreclosed. The attorneys have worked on clearing the title. Title company is comfortable to issue the insurance, the title insurance, and it's been assigned to new agent. So for those of the buyers, they're like, hey, skip the agent, just go to the bank. It doesn't work like that. If the bank is taking a property back, has to show the government they have taken the proper steps to foreclose and give all the consumers the same right to sell, to have the chance to buy the property. So they have to show, demonstrate that work. Now, if it's a private equity and they do it, or it's a hard money, I have no idea. You know, try contacting them. I have no idea. It is unlikely. But if someone says, I like to buy REOs, bottom line, if it's a foreclosure, banks, they are required to put in the market. As a matter of fact, towards the end of foreclosure market, the government made every bank, which Wells Fargo still practice that the first 7 days, investors cannot purchase the property. So if you write an offer as an investor, they will not look to entertain. So you have to write it as an owner occupy because they want to stabilize the market. So skipping the process, because I have had a foreclosure that was assigned to me, but it was not in the market. It was coming. In the process of coming is being that I'm going to have to do BPOs, I have to do eviction, I have to take pictures, I have to fix the hazard issues if there is any.
Uh-oh. Frozen.
Oops, we lost the host.
Say that again.
We
lost you for a second.
For about 30 seconds.
Okay.
The last thing was fix the hazard.
Is this better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Obviously, if everybody says you lost me, I'm the problem. So, okay.
The last thing we heard was the fix the hazards.
So if I have, so the listing was assigned to me, but I had to fix the, take a picture, do a lot of repairs or be able to access to the property. At that specific property, we had a tenant in, but the buyer was one buyer who was following the transaction when they were pre-foreclosure. Called me, says, don't represent me. I don't have an agent. I said, it doesn't work like that. As a matter of fact, Wells Fargo doesn't allow the listing agent to represent any buyer, just FYI. Some banks don't. And I said, I cannot do anything right now. They're like, why can't you just tell them I'm a cash buyer? I said, it doesn't work like that. The property has to go in the market. The buyer just wouldn't understand. Went and hired an attorney, went to the bank and said, here my offer. And the bank said, you have to communicate with Harma and when the property goes in the market. So it was this constant 45 days off, like you can. And then when the property came in the market, he was like, are you crazy? It's not worth that much. I said, I don't make the decisions, bank do. Bank will do my BPO, will do an appraisal. If me and appraisal have a very big gap, they will order another appraisal. And they will pick the appraisal that has a higher value. So it was much higher and there's nothing I can do. So, Harry, if the buyer says, this is a pre-foreclosure, as an agent, I would hate you to try to fight it and try to help them waste your time to get a property that is unlikely you're going to get it. If it's in the market, active, absolutely. And if it's new in the market, you may want to write it owner occupied, because most banks do not entertain investors because they want to give the people that they're occupying better chances.
Now, you mentioned something. You said in the first 7 days, they won't allow investors to, bid on it or even like write an offer. So what happens if, let's say, they don't accept an offer within 7 days, then investors jump in?
Correct. And then you can write it as you wish. It's usually investors are getting their chance when the property is overpriced, which was, and then which was mine, or it was cash deal for some buyers don't have. And what will happen, the investor comes in and the price becomes a problem. They don't agree on the price, but the banks, the first 30 days do not do any reductions. And then after 30 days, the gap for the asset manager to entertain an offer is 3%. So if it's listed for $100,000, they can accept anything up to 3% reduced from the price. So if the investor comes and says, for $1 million home, I just want to pay $800 cash, it doesn't matter if you are right with your price, the guidelines will not allow the asset manager to take it. So you understand this process will help you get your offers accepted, or maybe making less effort on something that is not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Of course. Great question.
Harma, do you have any tips for connecting with those asset managers that you brought up and being able to build relationships with them?
Yes, one of the best way to do is find out, pick a zip code, pick an area, look at all the homes that they're being foreclosed or they're in the process of NODs, find out who are the lenders, then contact the lenders through, you can find on LinkedIn, you can find, contact them and just say, when you foreclose, which platform do you use? There are a few companies out there that use the same platform. One is ResNet, ResNet.com, or just do resnet.com or resnet REO. There, another one is Equator. I think they both charge to be there. The free profile is free, but then you can be certified by them. If you like to go after REOs, you have to be on those platforms. That doesn't mean they're going to give you REOs, but you may want to be your profile should be complete. One of the best way to learn more about the process is to take their courses. If you take ResNet, doesn't qualify for Equator. If you take Equator, doesn't mean you're qualified for ResNet. But if you're planning to go after foreclosures, don't do just an email to an asset manager. You want to be certified. You want to be active. You want to be on all the platforms. So you can say, hey, John, I noticed you're an asset manager at Chase. I just wanted to know, you gotta know if Chase uses their own platform. I believe I don't have a Chase, but you can say, I know you use ResNet. I'm certified by them. My certification is attached. I'm very familiar with their platform. What can I do to earn your business? Thank you, Harry. Great job for posting all that. Nicole, you're mute. Sorry, you're mute.
Yeah. Based on what you guys were saying, I was wondering, do you think it's probably in our best interest to be more in touch with the owners rather than the lenders, since most likely most of them won't, they have equity?
Yeah, so great question. You need to be active farming and prospecting. And number one source of business that it costs the least amount of money, you don't pay a referral out, high conversion ratio, is people you know. And honestly, again, Harma Data has a product called CRM. If you guys sign up and you're supporting our services, I'll reimburse you. You don't have to pay to be have a membership with the platform. So this is free for our agents basically. But the way I designed that CRM, that 4 postcards a year goes specifically 2 weeks before of the event, like 4th of July, their birthday. So the system will send it to them, and the letters that goes to them, it says, hey, Nicole, I hope you're good. My business is booming. And if your business is top, depends where market you're in. So the letter is based on the market. So it's not going to overpromise of something is not correct. So the letter gets modified every every quarter, and says, I just want to know if you will be interested in selling or buying, anyone, because let's all agree that we don't like to ask for referrals. We don't call and just say, I'm just going to let you know, don't know anyone wants to buy or sell. We don't do that. So the whole product is designed to ask on your behalf. So make sure you farm, make sure you go after NODs and convince them that, hey, you don't have to go through this process. You have an equity. Let's sell you before anything else. I have a buyer for you. I'm an expert in local. But if you're not an expert in the local market and you don't know what NODs are, and you have not sold, and you don't have the skill set, and you are not a good listener, like earlier I said, and you're not a good communicator, it is unlikely in a challenging market you have transactions. Yes, you might get lucky, but we all know to be wealthy, you don't get lucky. You have to work. So yes, going back, farm, lead generate, and don't rely on the REOs. If you're going to get REOs and you want to be a listing agent, it's not one-time thing, it's an ongoing lead generation model that you have to go after banks and asset managers. Thank you. Anyone else?
Harma, I'm sorry, what did you say the name of your CRM is?
Harmadata.com. It's called CRM Pro. It's basically 12 months of, it's a letter, postcards, email, and a voicemail that drops on your client. So you record a voicemail when you sign up, and you say, and you don't say the client's name, but you say, hi, it's Kiana. I just want to say I've been on the street driving, and I just thought it would be best for me to just leave a quick voicemail for you and tell you I'm still in real estate. Market is really good. And my office was just telling me that I need to be prepared for end of the year because I want to get the best award. I want to be the top producer, and you always help me. Please, if you know anyone wants to buy or sell, call me. The voicemail gets dropped on the client's cell phone. You don't call them. You don't do anything. So they're like, oh, how did I miss her call? They listen, and it says, hey, it's Kiana. So it sounds like you actually specifically call them. So if you have 100 people in your database, 22 people in your database, 1,000, the system will drop off. So my goal is that you guys will have a generated business coming through your own people. So you don't have to actually do if you do cold calling, you're calling people you don't know, and the system will generate within your own people that they're connected with you. And the email will go out based on the market. We will have in the bottom of the email, we have the rates, we have the sign on the graphs of the market condition going up, going down based on NAR, so statistics. And it says, happy spring, I hope you're doing well. Just want to make sure that it's something. And then depends. Every letter is a little bit different. And so the whole thing is designed for you to have do nothing. Basically do nothing. Just sign up, upload your CRM, the contacts, do nothing. You do have to have the sellers or your buyers first name, last name, email, date of birth, and address, because the postcard goes to them, letter gets mailed to them, email gets sent to them, and a voicemail gets dropped off.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's $30 so a month, and I'm gonna pay for you, so you don't have to pay. So all I'm asking you, just upload. So everything is from you. It's nothing to do with us. You sign up, you pick your put your logo, your name, all of it. So or do it yourself, do the work, but it's designed to get you more business. Well, I'm gonna end it. We went a little bit. I appreciate you all. I hope you feel supported and know that we do care about your business. We can take you to the water. We can't force you to drink it, but I hope you know that this everything we do is truly to change your lives and your families. Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you for being with us, and stay safe.
Thank you, Harma.
Thank you, Harma.
Harma.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.